Welcome to the Heartwork Podcast, where we delve into stories, struggles, and triumphs of entrepreneurship, leadership, and personal growth. I'm Dr. Sarah.
And I'm Dr. Marisa. We're here to guide practitioners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and those just navigating the complexities of life on a journey of discovery that explores the dance between passion and strategy, heart and hustle.
With candid conversations, insightful interviews, and plenty of laughs, get ready to uncover how leading with heart can transform your business and life. Let's dive in.
Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome back. And today, Sarah and I are going to go into a little bit of nitty gritty around employee manuals and some logistics when it comes to part-time employee benefits and expectations or responsibilities versus full-time salaried and what that can look like. We've gotten a lot of questions lately about maternity leave or PTO and time off, and what do you do for holidays? And when you have a paid hourly employee, things can look a little different compared to when you have a salaried employee that's getting paid for a week's long time in expectation of 40 hours compared to our part-time employees that might only be working in office hours, 30 to 35 hours. We both have schedules where we are open for business to serve the public Mondays through Thursdays, but we are not open for public service on Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays. And so it can get a little tricky when those lines are blurred between what's actually work time, what's not, what are the expectations around time because of different payment fee structures, and just navigating the differences between that. Again, even for me and myself, I have part-time employees and full-time employees. And so even some of the benefits change from that. So when it comes to creating expectations and an employee handbook, as always, the more clarity that can be provided, the better. The more situational examples that can be provided, the better, because naturally things are going to pop up. Sarah's even going to share about stuff that's come up recently that was just oh, never really actually even thought about it that way. And here comes a new amendment about something that we just all need to get on the same page about. Because again, clear expectations creates an opportunity for really clear outcomes, but unclear expectations can really breed quiet resentment, right? Uncommunicated expectations that breeds resentment because of that. And so detail for all of my people out there that aren't really interested in documenting it. It's really important to get it all down on paper so that you can have examples, and people, again, can either come up with a question to ask you for further clarification, but that it's not something that has really loose boundaries.
Right. It is really wild to navigate in the world, just especially in our industry. I think a lot of people, if you're in the corporate world, probably don't have to navigate a lot of this because you're working typically a 5-hour work week or a 5-day work week, I mean. And there's also a difference, especially in the our industry. A lot of times you'll see a lot of hourly pay versus a salary pay, which when you start to hire doctors, it changes things if you're putting them on salary, or just a higher level position in your company where you're maybe hiring an operations or an office manager, or you're hiring for a higher level lead in your place of business. And so if you have salary, it really does change the course of conversation around just an hourly employee. So for just basics, I'm going to just work through and you should tell your difference of yours. Let's just talk through what we typically do for hourly benefits, if there's any benefits. So I have been doing this now for a little over 10 years. And so I do offer some additional benefits, but I don't do it for every single person. There's certain criteria you need to navigate, and not everybody needs to be doing these. These are just options that we've done over the course of my time. Depending on your pay, I will say that two things. Depending on your area, the higher pay that you do, you are going to find higher quality individuals. So I've had to learn this at the same time. I feel for a long time, it's I was hiring people that it's I just needed to have this entry level position, which really in the end of the day, a lot of our points of entry position, like for people to actually join our practice. So it is a little bit more of an entry level position. So it's not necessarily going to get paid $50 an hour. While at the same time, I feel like I had just a very, very low base. And so it then provided some, I just wasn't happy with some of the individuals and they didn't last long. And so I've navigated that now being in this longer too. It's like I'd rather pay my people well and navigate that as I get going and keep them for a little longer. And also, you're just going to typically get higher level people. I know in my area, like you can go work for Target for $20 an hour. You can go work for Walmart for $20 an hour. And like that's the type of individual you're going to get if you're paying them less than 20 or around $20 an hour. So anyway, just a like side note on that. Number two disclaimer, a lot of this stuff that I've learned, at least for my manual and for a lot of the HR stuff that I do know, I literally consulted an HR consultant, human resources consultant, because there's just things you don't know. Like if you run a business, it's like I didn't go to business to figure out human resources. I didn't go to business to figure out like how do I do PTO? How do I do like 401k and like benefits and those types of things. What happens with this policy? What about sexual harassment? Like all those types of things and putting that into handbooks and stuff like that. So I would also just give you an invitation. Like, yes, you can reach out to other colleagues, but if it is really something you're navigating something in your business, having somebody that you can trust for an HR would be really, really important. So just those two little
Wow, really
disclaimers.
important.
And okay, so yeah, they're very important. And again, people go into business to do HR. So it's great. There's so many people that would love to be able to consult with you and also help
Mhm.
you there at the same time. Okay. So for us, like besides just pay in your area, I have a very clear level of raise and I tell this to the person based off of like their level of training and their level of movement in the company. Because at the end of the day, I've also learned that people want to know where they're going to go when you hire them. So if you're not going to give a raise until a year in, they want to know that, and like, I can't tell you how many people I've worked with. It's like they have no track. It's like I just am going to hire somebody and then just like, okay, cool. If they do well, I'm going to pay them an additional 50 cents or whatever. It's like people do desire and want to have an understanding of like what level of growth can I continue to go through. And so we tell them that. So personally, after 90 days, if they meet certain requirements within our training journey, they will get a certain raise at that point. We do check-ins along the way where they're going to do every 90 days within their first year, they're going to have a check-in. They typically can receive a raise after 90 days, after 6 months, and then at a year within their first year of business, at least for us, within their first time with us. And then from there, every year, there will be a performance review at that point to where they can have an additional opportunity for a performance raise. There's also this thing called COLA, like cost of living accommodation. So even if you don't do a performance raise, it is very customary to give a cost of living accommodation based off of what your level of like, so literally what the United States decides to do
Yeah.
to a certain degree. And like, you don't have to give a whole ton, but it's anywhere between typically 1% to 6% of an increase at that time. And so that was again per an HR consultant. And so my team typically knows that they're going to get some type of cost of living increase and depending on performance or that type of stuff. However, if they are not meeting performance expectations, they also know that they're not going to receive that. So there is that's partly why you meet with people and you have an annual review. So that's just a level of understanding for them. For me, I do this different. I know everybody does this a little different for paid time off. We offer after 90 days, they get 20 hours of paid time off for the next remaining of the year if they activate that. At a year, they'll acquire 40 hours of PTO. At 2 years, they're going to acquire 80 hours of PTO. In 3 years, they acquire 120 hours of PTO and they will max at the 120 hours. They will also, those hours do not roll over. So I actually recommend my people to actually take vacation and use them. If they don't use them, they lose it. So especially once you get into the 3 years, a lot of times people are either not using it or they are. I know you do yours a little bit different, the way that you build your PTO in. Mine is just acquired on their anniversary date, and I've done that for a long time. I haven't changed it. So I don't know if I would do it the same if I started a brand new business, just because it has quantified some difficulty now that one of the things I had to navigate this past year. So Do you wanna share
Yeah.
what you do for
We have
that?
a similar thing in the sense of like we do a 90-day training probationary period where we do typically have like a entry higher hourly rate, and then when they complete that full training, then they get bumped up like a significant amount. I mean, I think we go up like $1.50 or $1.25 from that. And for us in general, when it comes to like pay PTO and stuff. So once you've made it through that 90-day probationary period, in general with raises too. So like in general with raises, I typically bring it around performance. I'm finally at the time where I have like team members that have been here for like a year plus, 2 years, 3 years now.
Yeah.
And so for me though, I've never created a rhythm around like, okay, it's your annual review, like here's your arbitrary like bonus or pay increase. I do like to do cost of living increases, but I like to wrap them up into like, hey, you've been really exceeding or excelling at this. This is a role I'm like
Totally.
calling you into because we didn't have leadership hierarchy too, right? Like we are moving from that startup to scale phase. You guys, like Sarah comes with
Mhm.
10 years plus of business experience and leading a team. We are just finished our cusp of 3 years open in the practice. So like depending on where you're at, right? These are rhythms that you can build into your systems.
Yeah.
But I've just finally started doing more like true quarterly and performance and team evaluations around quarterly meetings. And so we're coming up to January. And so I'm actually going to make this January the first of that kind of year long basis. But just in the past, we've done raises along with like opportunities and growth. I do want to encourage people to like one of the things Sarah mentioned about the entry level position, something I had to get very specific on when we were hiring was sharing that yes, we are a mission based business in the community and we want to create a lot of impact. At the same time, we are not a corporation. Like we are a small business. And so when you come into our business, I would love for us to grow and continue to create this beautiful impact in our community. And that could look like opening multiple satellites or locations or having opportunities. However, we're not like a climb the corporate ladder. You know, we're going to have a CMO and a CFO and like COO and all of these things that you would expect to come along with corporation. We can create that in our small business, but just to note, like we are a small brick and mortar business that feels very much like a family based local community. So when I've gotten very clear about that and asked for their expectations, a lot of times when the right person is sitting in front of you, they're like, no, that's literally what I want. I'm trying to get out of corporate because I feel like a number in the wheel. Like I want to be a part of a mission based business and I'm here to help this business grow and whatever that looks like, but not expecting to, climb a corporate ladder and manage teams of 10 and 20 people, is like it's like a regular rhythm of just the day to day. So then what we do with PTO, because I have part-time and I have full-time. So the easiest thing to chat about first is just holidays. So when it comes to holidays, like we're typically closed on New Year's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day. And so I have those holidays built in. And obviously we have the prerogative to close on other days. But if the team member is full time after their 90-day training from the start of their employment, and they are averaging, that 33 to 35 or more hours per week, they're eligible for holiday pay and they will get 8 hours of pay if that holiday falls on a weekday that we are open. So like we are open typically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So if New Year's Day, for example, is next week and it's on a Thursday, we're closed that day, they are going to get holiday pay if they're a full-time employee that averages that 33 to 35 hours per week. Because we have very different adjusting hours and time hours of the office. A lot of our even full-time team members don't necessarily hit a full 40 hourly unless they have additional projects and stuff that we've added to it. But in the actual patient service hours, they don't hit that full 40. But if the holiday falls on a Friday or on a Sunday when we're not open, then they don't get that holiday pay. When it comes to like sick days or personal obligation days, you have to check with your state because when I was in South Jersey, um, I had to automatically give every single employee 5 sick days to have every year. So they would automatically get that. Here in Iowa, they don't have it written in the state laws where anyone's entitled to any automatic PTO. So what I did in Jersey was give the 5 days, and I carried it to here as well, even though it doesn't require it per my state. But I have my employees part time and full time. So I do give this to both, but they acquire the PTO. So for every 30 hours worked, you earn 1 hour of PTO. And so that way, too, if someone just comes off of their 90-day probation, they don't like automatically get, you know, 5 full days of PTO. Like they'll accrue it. You can accrue it pretty quickly because again, essentially you're getting those hours paid in as it goes. But it just allows for a little bit more flexibility when someone's new or if it doesn't work out in a period of time that you don't have a bunch of paid PTO that's like on the docket that they're wondering if they can utilize or cash in with. That's the other thing that we have done is that um when they decide to separate ways or when we decide to move on from a certain team member, as soon as that decision is made, like we don't get payout of what we haven't earned. So it's not like they can give a 2-week notice and then just take off the 2 weeks if they have, 8 days of acquired PTO and not help us with the transition period. So we do that in the sense of like sick days or like mental health days and personal days. And then when a full-time team member has been with you for a year, we have it where they can then accrue an additional 40 hours of PTO. So an additional 5 days of PTO essentially. But team members that average less than about 30 hours a week that are considered part-time do not have the opportunity to earn essentially 10 days of PTO when they've been for us for a year or more. We do have it roll over a couple hours. I think we have it set up where we roll over up to 5 days. So someone in their third year could have like 15 days of PTO. And then when it comes to anything else, it's just unpaid time. So like if they're just, you know, my kid's got to go to a doctor's appointment or I just want a day off and it's not for sick or vacation, they're in their first year, they only get like, sick person, it's just I'm a little bit more lenient, I would say, with like the reasons why if they have the time like to use it, unless we're starting to see like an egregious, breach of like honor and awareness on utilizing PTO for certain reasons. And then I have them submit it into our like payroll system with Gusto so that it's super clear. They request it, we get to see it. My office team lead also gets to see it. And so then it gets just built into their payroll.
So I want to just like come on and for just different situational type things. So she obviously listed out all the different scenarios for part time versus full time. And you can do it so many different ways. I think that's like the coolest part. Like, well, I should say you can do it in a variation, but at the same time, it's all coming down to the end of the thing. Just make it very, very
Yeah.
clear. And I think one of the things you need to decide is like she was saying, do any of them roll over? You need to have a yes or no to that. And you have to have it very clear to what people understand. You have to have a very clear understanding of what the difference is between full-time, part-time. What are you willing to do within full-time, part-time? For us, we don't do any paid holidays for part-time if they are less than 30 hours. That's just because they can move it around. Like if a paid holiday is on a Monday, but they work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they can work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Like those part-time individuals like can work different days. Maybe not all the time because they have specific hours, but that's just part of the reality. Like we don't offer the paid holidays. We max out at 40 hours a week for part-time. They don't get any extra hours for that because again, like they typically, even if they're going to take days off, they can accommodate other days if they're trying to fill their hours in. For us, one of the things that just came up was because of the way like July 4th and Christmas fall, sometimes they move days, right? They're not always on the same day. So like Marisa had a very clear policy to where if the Christmas day falls on a Thursday, they're going to get paid off on that day because they're truly not working. What it happens next year, Christmas is actually on a Saturday, I think, or a Friday. And so when that happens, what happens with the days that they're already fully working? Are they going to get paid for Christmas? And so we actually are changing, doing an amendment in our policy actually right now, because one of my doctors actually asked me about it. And because this upcoming July, that July falls on a Saturday. So we're actually going to be changing it to where it'll be a floating holiday, like PTO day, to where they're not going to get penalized that their like day is not like July 4th didn't fall on a Wednesday. So they'll be able to use that day another day. Not saying that they're getting penalized, but like in the same sense, like they'll be able to use that day another time. And so that was just, I mean, literally, it's been 10 years I've been doing this. Now all of a sudden it just came up. So
Yeah.
it's like, that's the coolest part is like you can amend policies and like manuals all the time. So
Uh-huh.
like I'm literally putting an amendment together to be able to do that. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was just the understanding that people may have life situations that really happen. Maybe there's a miscarriage, maybe there's a death in the family. We have a bereavement policy in our manual as well that offers 24 hours of bereavement and up to 40 hours if not needed, but we have it for 24. So basically, like 3 days of PTO. And they can request up to 5 based on, again, the scenario. This does extend to immediate family members. I've had a situation where, again, there was a miscarriage that did happen. So that was extended to that scenario. And then, like, a really close friend, if it was like somebody that was really, really close to them, that has extended to them as well. We've had those scenarios pop up within the past, again, almost 11 years now. So that I think is really important just to have in there as a policy that renews every year. Not everybody uses it. Again, it has to be a certain scenario. They have to request for it. That's just a benefit for them at the same time. The other option is maternity leave. We haven't even talked about maternity leave yet.
Um,
This is something because we hire a lot of ladies. I have literally danced with so much maternity leave over the past these 10 years. We kind of have this running joke that there's literally always 2 people pregnant in Freedom literally every single year. And so we offer, because I also just this was just me. I've actually never been pregnant, but I also just know like our society rushes women back to pregnancy so quickly. And it's just never been a desire of mine to force moms to come back really fast. And I've always like, that's just my perspective. But at the same time, like, again, whatever, no matter what policy that you do, like, do it for the best of your business and also for what feels good for you. So I also say that because I know so many people have done maternity stuff that are so different. So for hourly and or salary, I offer 8 weeks of paid maternity leave. If it's hourly, it's based off the average amount of hours that they work. And then they can also opt to choose an additional 4 weeks of unpaid maternity leave if they wanna take up to 12. For my salaried human beings, they just literally get 8 weeks of paid time off, and
mm,
they get to come back and again choose if they wanna take an additional 4 weeks off, and then they come back. I've had one other extenuating circumstance where I had a girl actually take 16 weeks. The rest of it was unpaid, but she just couldn't find childcare, and there was this extenuating healing circumstance happening. Obviously, look at your state too, because some states do disability. They'll cover percentages based on your state. I've actually looked at my state, and Tennessee, they will cover it if you have Medicaid, if you cover Medicaid, but it does not for this. Otherwise, like, I have to have a policy in my office for it. I know, like, states like New Jersey and California, the state will actually cover for some of that maternity leave, and then you can just cover the rest of it. So look at your state laws for that because it also potentially can help you and support you. I know some people do, again, like short term disability for their doctors and for opportunities for maternity leave too. I've just never done it that way because it's also have been something I've had to have to navigate through. So I just do maternity leave that way. So and then my last little things, I'll let you cover anything else, would be after a year of an employment with me, I don't offer any type of health insurance or anything like that, but I do offer a 401k for individuals once they've been with me. That's just been something that I know not everybody like maybe always agrees with a 401k, but you could do some type of investment like an IRA, some type of like retirement option or investment option for individuals. And so we do a 401k. They can choose to opt in if they want, and then I will do a 4% match for them. So it's been a really beautiful thing. Literally every single one of my people do it, and I've loved it. I've done it myself. It's just a way to be able to gift them a way of a benefit. We don't offer health insurance, but we do offer complimentary chiropractic care for that individual and their immediate family. That's it.
So, yeah, I mean, we do this similar. So, for us, we have maternity, and I've had men in the office, so I actually do have paternity leave built in
Yeah.
too. So, after 18 for a team member, I had it as after 18 months of full-time employment, up to 12 weeks of leave is granted, but I had 4 weeks paid, 8 weeks unpaid, and they have to use any available accrued pay time off to get paid at their 100% of their salaried amount, and that they are expected to return to work after those, 90 days, like, for a minimum after that 3 months off. So, for example, someone takes 3 months of maternity leave, they have to come back to work at their typical work schedule for a minimum of 3 more months following the end of their maternity leave. So, it can't be like someone takes 3 months of maternity leave, gets paid that time, and then is like, "Just kidding, I don't actually wanna come back either full-time, or I don't wanna come back part-time, or I don't wanna come back at all." Then that maternity leave actually becomes null and void. They don't get paid that time because the expectation is you're being paid for that time and granted that time with the expectation of you coming back to the office. And if that looks
Mhm.
like it's going to change, then we have the right to like either prorate your compensation or change it based off of what new expectations are for when you do return to work. Um, and obviously, any kind of leave of absence longer than 12 weeks is considered for us like a relinquish of their employment status. Again, there's different situations and people can come to you and you can create an amendment or change things up based off of new decisions, but we just have that as our basic policy. And same thing for paternity leave, but we do have it that if we ever had a couple in the office, they cannot take their leave at the same time. So they can just space it or spread it out if we ever did have 2 partners in the office that were both gonna be taking, like, maternity, paternity, or parental leave based off of what was going on. But it has to be taken within the first 12 months of that child's arrival, one following the other. So, like, it can't just be, "Hey, you know, I'm gonna take 3 months of maternity leave, and then, partner dad is gonna take it at the start of next year, January to March." It's like, "No, that's not the point of paternity leave. It's not just here as a
Mhm.
benefit package." For our docs, I also have it set to do 12 weeks the same, with again paid 4 weeks, and they can use available PTO. I do also have like a note in there if you do want to come back part time after the first 4 to 6 weeks, or like do some little things, like we can build in some stuff there to like help make up for the difference. Again, we've talked to different people, and it's always better to promise something and then over deliver versus share you're going to over deliver on something and then be like, "Ooh, just kidding. Like, I don't actually have the capacity to do all of that." Right? You can always gift more if you feel so called or inclined. Um, and then when it comes to any additional benefits package, we do also offer complimentary care for that individual and their immediate family. So, spouse, partner, and children. We do have it specified that they need to be actual legally married or spousal agreement or in a long term partnership for that benefit to their significant other. So it's not just like someone that we're dating or have just met. If they do get
Right.
engaged by the time that they are then in that fiance, then they have access to additional like percentages off for us in the business. But it does need to be a either long-standing partnership or a spousal marriage relationship to have that benefit, and then immediate children or adoptive children. Basically, you have to be like legal guardian of those children. It's not just people that are living with you in the home or roommates, stuff like that. We have it set that at 1 year of full time employment, they will also be eligible for additional benefits. But as I have presented it to my team, they've either had benefits related to their spouse, to other like what they're getting, health insurance, etc., or on a parental health insurance still. And so there has been no desire for additional benefits at this time. But again, like I just kind of keep it as an open-ended conversation that if that does change and we have multiple team members that are interested in accessing a benefits package, we do that. But in the past, like I've paid for gym memberships as like a bonus incentive. I've done extra bonus or just like threw in, a gift certificate to their favorite place and stuff. Like I'll just find other ways then to bless the team because again, they haven't wanted health insurance. They haven't wanted a IRA or a 401k at the time. And so we'll just continue to evaluate it as our team needs grow and as we have potential other people that are being hired on, right? So that's kind of how we just have navigated it in this early phase of business.
Mhm. Cool. So, I think the end of the day, like, the coolest thing and just the opportunity that you have is to make this as clear as possible, and the coolest part too, to also give yourself a lot of grace as a business owner. You can, like as we said, make a lot of amendments along the way and, like, make changes to things that serve you best as you continue to grow and scale your company based off again what serves you guys, and making sure that you have it written down, making sure that you have it all very clear for people so that there isn't that space of resentment or level of confusion as you get going and as your team grows is really vital, I fully believe. It also makes you really official at the same time too. Like it makes you more of a business and like makes it more of a company versus just something that like, oh, cool, I'm going to pay my people PTO. And like, but at the same time, it's like you don't really know what you're doing, you know? And so there can be a lot of grace of navigating it. But the more that if you start creating systems now, put it down, write it down, create um, SOPs, create systems around it, you'll be so much more happy and just more confident, even as a business owner and as the like CEO than anything as well. So yeah, I hope you guys found something really helpful and useful through this. And know that again, your people are going to be so much more on board too, not only just with the culture and the mission, and also to know like, man, I can actually really get on board with this because I have a clear understanding and foundation of where I can go and what is offered to me at the same time. We'll see you guys next time. So thank you for joining us on another episode of the Heartwork Podcast. We hope today's conversation has inspired you to lead with heart in your business and life.
If you enjoyed this, subscribe so you never miss a release, rate our show, leave us a review, get on our VIP email list, and join our exclusive Facebook group, The Heartwork Life, to plug into our community and learn from us and other heart-led entrepreneurs on a weekly basis.
We look forward to chatting with you next time.
Bye!